I'll welcome, and then Sylvia, you'll explain. We'll do the centering. Okay, great. We have a
Sounds
formula.
great. Yeah, we're good. We're so good, Rachel.
All right. And okay. All right, well, here we are. It's week 3 of the Compassion series, and I'm so blessed that Sylvia DeSantis reached out to me across the great state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. If you're just tuning into this particular series, Sylvia and I met at a retreat this summer in New York, and we immediately were like, we have to find a way to work together. And so that just arose from the need to be able to give people tools for self-care right now. It's really, really important that we find ways to support ourselves. And this third week, I don't think we even had that, at least I didn't have it on my radar, that we would be ending on the new moon and Earth Day. So there's some sort of really beautiful synchronicity in that. I mean, Earth Day is a celebration that's only been around for 50 years, but to me this morning, as I was contemplating what we were doing, it brought into my awareness that we're, using tools that are way older than allopathic medicine and behavioral medicine in the West. And that likely, no matter what part of the world we came from, our ancestors, or multiple parts of the world where we came from, our ancestors practiced plant medicine and, understood how to use ritual and ceremony and other practices of touch and healing. And I'm very interested in that type of healing, and have been an integrative medicine practitioner for 2 decades, and very interested in studying various ways of healing that have been practiced in various cultures. And this past summer, I took a curandero course on the ancient healing from the Latin American traditions, Afro-Cuban. And I've been enrolled in a 2-year course studying Celtic spirituality and indigenous practices of the Celts, and found there to be so much similarity, even though the plants were different and maybe some of the techniques of touch and healing were different. There was a sense of understanding one's connection with the planet in a way that we're trying to get back to now. So I'm grateful to be able to do that on this auspicious day. And I'm going to turn it over to Sylvia so she can introduce the self-care technique that we'll be learning today. And hopefully you'll be able to share that with people in your community in ways that are relevant to you and your loved ones. Thanks.
Thank you, Rachel. Welcome everyone again. This is the 3rd in a 3-part series, and this has been absolutely delightful. This has been, I think I can speak for us when I say this has been as uplifting for us putting these together, also as hopefully it's been for you participating. So thank you for joining us. It makes all the difference. Today we're going to be looking at and practicing Shiatsu. Like the other 2 modalities we worked with, Shiatsu is an energy work modality. It is very old. You could say it sort of piggybacks on traditional Chinese medicine. It's essentially acupuncture without the tiny needles, but with just gentle continuous pressure from our fingertips. So it's something, again, we're very interested in these interventions that almost anyone can do almost anywhere, and this is one of those as well. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about it, how it works, and then we're going to start. But I want to share just a tiny story with you first too. I work at a university, and I had a faculty member approach me who knows that I have a holistic business, and she said to me, I think I have some of your patients, which is actually not accurate, they're my clients, but she said, I think I have some of your patients in my class. And I said, and I was, a little shocked. And I said, oh, why do you think that? And she said, well, there were, 3 young ladies in the back, and before their last midterm, they're sitting there pressing the middles of their palms. What is that? Are these your patients? And I was like, wow. We don't call them patients because I'm not a medical doctor, and I can't actually share that because of HIPAA and ethical reasons. But I will tell you that it sounds like those young ladies were finding a really nice way to calm themselves down before their midterm that I think is wonderful that you noticed. And they actually were my clients, but I couldn't tell her that. But it was so funny to me. These college kids are sitting in class doing their Shiatsu points. And I was like, oh goodness, that's awesome. So really, it really is for anyone, anywhere. So don't feel intimidated by, like I need a special space. You don't. You can do this in the car, in the shower, in the kitchen, making dinner, anywhere. Just, briefly. So the premise of Shiatsu is that we all have chi or ki. It's a life force that runs through us. It helps us go. It's what gets us up. It's what lets us be. And in Shiatsu, we've got meridians. There are 12 major meridians. They run up the front of our body, down the back of our body. And when we do this really gentle, continuous pressure on different places on these meridians, we can affect different parts of our health. Now, as we go through some of these points today, I don't want you to get overwhelmed by the name of the organ point. I think that's important. And if you want more information on that, I would be happy to provide it because I think it's absolutely fascinating. It's one of my favorite things ever. But I don't want you to get caught up on that and say, oh, I know I have to press my palm, but I don't know what it is. That's okay. That's okay. You just know that you're going to press your palm to feel calm. And so following that train of thought, what we're going to do is instead of worrying so much about what the actual names are, we're going to look at different ways we can intervene based on maybe things that don't feel so great. So we're going to look at what I call the 4 S's. We're going to address sinuses. Everyone has some sort of issue with like nasal sinuses. That's partly cultural and partly personal, based on body type. But we love dairy and things that sort of clog us up. We're going to look at stress and ways to sort of intervene when our bodies have a stress response, because I think that is everybody can use a stress intervention. We're going to look at stomach issues. Many people, when they get upset or stressed, or even if they have a pre-existing, sometimes things tend to sit in our stomach. So we're going to look at stomach, and we're going to look at sleep and ways that we can help improve our sleep. And so we're not necessarily working on our stomach. So when we work on these organs, the organs and these meridians some of them run from the top of our heads to the bottom of our feet. So we could be working on, for example, we're going to work on something to help a sinus cough, but we're going to be working on our elbow. So don't be confused about that. Just sort of think about, I'm working on this just to address this particular discomfort or this particular issue. And we'll have notes that we can share out that will go out along with this recording too. So you don't have to try to remember everything. So I'm going to pass this back to Rachel and we can begin.
All right, I'm going to be guiding a centering and then a meditation at the end. And I just wanted to reference some influences that you might find interesting. And Joanna Macy, of course, is just amazing. Her work with eco-Buddhism, I have probably everything she's written. I'll be drawing loosely from some of her practices, calling the work that reconnects, the Great Turning. And then this is one of my favorite books of all time, The Way of Tenderness, Zenzu Earthlyn Manuel. She's a Black queer Buddhist priestess, and she has a lovely way of thinking of the body as nature and talking about multiplicity of oneness and seeing ourselves as part of the diversity of species. So I wanted to just give credit to those 2 teachers and their influence on what I'll share with you today. So we'll start by just, again, noticing where you are in space and time, noticing perhaps the room that you're in. You might be spending a lot of time in different parts of your home now. So bringing something concrete into your awareness about the space that you're in. And then you're welcome to softly focus your gaze or close your eyes. And allowing yourself to feel the solidity of the support beneath you, whether you're sitting on a chair or the floor. And one of the practices that I like to engage in is allowing myself to be supported. So even in this space here, just allow the chair to support you. Sort of invite yourself to let go a little bit into that solid surface that's holding you here. And feeling your body in space and time, lengthening up to the spine, letting that elegant structure of the spine in its lovely shape rest on the sit bones, the bony bones. You can even make some micro movements to feel that connection. And then if you like, you can let the hands rest palms down, or even bring a hand to your heart or your hand to your belly, doing what feels right for you. And as we're going to invite ourselves into a breath that is expansive on the inhale. And I'll invite you to let your exhale be a little longer than your inhale. And you can do that by counting and having the ratio of what you're doing. For example, counting into 3 on the inhale, counting out to 5 on the exhale. Or you can just let that happen organically. But go ahead and let yourself breathe in through the nose if that's available. And breathe out. Taking just a couple breaths, just deepening the breath cycle at first without needing to count or lengthen or extend the exhale. Just allow yourself to step into slowly expanding the inhale, releasing on the exhale. And then when it feels right, you can begin to let that inhale expand and let the exhale just fully releasing on the exhale. And really connecting to this sensation of deepening your connection to the earth on that exhale. Allow yourself to really sink into that downward facing, that downward movement. The shoulders, perhaps let the shoulders sink, let the hands rest. And connect to this idea of gravity. And the language of science and the language of spirituality can come together. I often talk about love and gravity. And love is this primary force of bonding and attraction that drives the ongoing creation of the universe. And so is gravity. So being in this space of awareness, of being connected to the planet, to being part of the whole. Just as we are breathing in and out here, so is everything that is pulsing with life on this planet. When we breathe in that of each other, even if we're sitting in our homes alone. When we breathe out that of ourselves into the world. So we can have that awareness of connection. Breathing in, breathing out. We'll take another deep breath in together. And exhale. If you like, you can rub your hands and move into a space of receiving. And gently open your eyes if they're closed. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start by looking at some interventions for sinuses and throat. This is something that I have a particular interest in because I grew up with throat infections and sinus infections since I was little. And so I was delighted, along with some dietary changes, I was delighted to find interventions that were something other than what I would consider antibiotic guesses. I spent a lot of time on antibiotics as a kid, even though the doctors weren't sure it was, bacterial or not. And I'm not really sure. They did their best, but I'm not sure it really served me. So I was delighted to find some other ways, and I hope you find these useful as well. So in terms of sinus and throat, we know this is all connected. We've got sinus cavities behind our eyes, behind our nose area. It's all connected. And anything can be triggered, anything from, pollen and dust and anything like that. So these are just nice ways to kind of clear out this area and also wake up, again, the meridians, sort of wake up these meridians. So we're going to start specifically on our face. We're going to work on our face and our hands today to address our sinuses. We're going to start with what's called a bladder a bladder point. It's bladder 2. Again, don't get caught up with the numbers and the organs. It's just for reference. We're going to go, we're going to hook right above the bridge of our nose, right in the sort of the corner of each eye, right here. So right here. And what you want to do is just do a very gentle press for about 10 seconds. So when you're doing any of these acupressure presses, it's much better to just do a gentle continuous press than to press and release, press and release. Just a nice continuous press for about 10 seconds. And if you don't feel like you get some relief the first time, do this in sets of 5 and then give your body a little bit of a break and then go back again, you know, a little bit later and do it in another set of 5. So this is fantastic for sinus problems. This can relieve eye pressure. This is great for headache. It's specifically good for a frontal migraine, and migraine sufferers know pretty well where their migraines sit. This is good for a frontal migraine. So just a really nice pressure just in there, and it just feels really nice. And then you want to follow this up by doing a really nice massage right on your eyebrows. And if you don't have eyebrows, some people don't, you want to massage right where they would be. Now you might find this is the tiniest bit tender. As with many of these modalities, when you find a tender spot, it usually indicates that the spot needs attention, not that it needs to be avoided. So we don't want pain. Pain is a different indicator, but tenderness is fine. So you just want to go over your eyebrows maybe 3 or 4 times. This should feel nice, really. This is a space on our face that we don't usually give much attention to. And then from there, we're going to move down to right under our eye socket, right here. This is actually a stomach point. That's the trick with Shiatsu. Some of the organ systems actually affect other places other than their own organ. It's beauty. This is actually stomach 1. Stomach 1 technically starts behind the eyeballs, but this is a good alternate point right here. This is a great sinus point right under the eyeballs. And we just want to be really gentle right here because these are all our facial bones are right here. And if you do have sinus pressure, these can be extremely tender. So we just want to give this a few seconds, about 10 seconds, just with really gentle pressure. And then from here, we're going to move to what I would say is the most tender spot on everyone, including me, stomach 3. Which all you do is slide down and hook right up under your cheekbones. And you can give that just a little bit of micro movement if you need to, but this tends to be just a little bit tender on folks as well. But this is really nice for sinus release. And just breathe. Just breathe while you're here. And then from here, we're going to move to the base of the nose. This is large intestine 20. So right at the base of the nose, right at the widest part of the nostrils, we want to press in so that it's almost a little bit difficult to breathe out of your nose. So you'll know you're in the right spot if you feel a little bit challenged by continuing to breathe. So right here, we're just going to give that a few seconds. Good. And if you think about it, when you do have sinus pressure, I generally find that people are already touching places on their face very organically when they have sinus pressure, because that's what we do when we have a pain or not an injury, but or an injury, like a pain, an injury, or just an upset somewhere. We tend to gravitate and give it the benefit of touch. And so this is really nothing different. This is just a little bit more focused touch. Now we're still addressing sinus and throat issues, but we're going to use our hands. Okay, so first is the large intestine meridian, which runs down the back of our arm. Okay, and so we're going to start with large intestine 1, which is right the tip of our index finger. And we're just going to press that very gently. This is excellent for sore throats. And again, this is something you can do anywhere, so it's perfect. It's wonderful. From large intestine 1, we're going to move to large intestine 4, which is the webbing between your thumb and finger. This is contraindicated if you are pregnant because this actually adjusts your blood flow. So please do keep that in mind. This is an excellent headache point, and this is something that's actually pretty popular. Most people, if you know just a little bit about holistic healing, most people know to press here, and if you don't, now you do. This is an excellent headache point and also a sinus point, right in sort of the webbing between here. From here, we're going to move up to what is lung 5. Lung is this meridian. It runs along this finger. But we're going to go into the crook of our elbow. So up to our elbow, the outer crook, right about here. This is excellent for any kind of sort of dry hacking cough, which some people may have right now, related to what's going on or not. A lot of people get those coughs from pollen in the air. This is an excellent spot for that. And then we're going to move back down, and this is lung 10. We want to go into our hand and hook right into the meaty part of our thumb. This is called the fish belly in Chinese medicine. This is also an excellent sore throat point. So we're right in here. We want to get right into that meaty part of our thumb. And you can leverage with your other thumb. We want to get right in there. And again, just for about 10 seconds. Now keep in mind, you want to do the other side too. So on the other side, we would do tip of our index finger. We would do the webbing. So sore throat, headache, dry, harsh cough, and sore throat. You don't have to do all of them. You can do just some of them. Just do both sides. Okay, good. Now we're going to talk a little bit about stomach issues. It seems like everyone has an upset stomach, and when people get nervous or agitated, it also tends to sit in one's stomach. So again, these are really easy interventions to do, even if you're just feeling a little bit of indigestion or you know, whatever the case may be. We're going to go back up to those stomach points because sometimes the organ meridian actually does address its namesake. Again, it's absolutely fascinating stuff. We can talk more about that later if you're interested, but we're going to go back up to our face and we're going to go back to stomach 1. So this is a great spot for stomach upset because the meridian is running through here. It actually starts here and back up under to stomach 3. So I would say reflux, not feeling well, just an ache. These are really good points. Now we're actually going to address our actual stomach. We're going to do what is called a hara rub. Now, our hara is our physical center of gravity. It's the seat of our constitution. It helps us, you know, stand upright and walk. It's our power center. We're going to go to our hara, which is essentially just a little bit, just a little bit around our solar plexus. And we're just going to do a clockwise stomach rub. You can do this, you could do the seated, lying down, standing, it does not matter. The idea behind the Hara rub is that we are massaging our large intestines in the direction in which they lie and digest, in which the food is being pushed through via peristalsis. So we want to just rub clockwise because we're massaging our large intestines, and it absolutely works. Every time I think, I have so much training in this, and I always think, is this going to work? Because you kind of question sometimes, and it works. It works really, really well. It's very comforting too. It's a very comforting feeling. And if you think about it, this is what we do to babies when we try to comfort them. We rub their tummies, right? And we don't even sort of think about it. Again, we're organically drawn, I think, to ways of healing touch without even knowing maybe there's a story, behind it, centuries old. We're already drawn there, which I think is beautiful. Okay. I have two more stomach points that are really, really potent. The first one, and we're going to go down to our legs. So if you can, and not far, we just need to get to our knees. So this is easiest if you are sitting. I'm going to share this so you can see. The first one is, it's stomach 24. And Rachel, can you let me share? It's stomach 24, and it's a spot that's right above our knee. And this is excellent for acute stomach trouble. So if we're feeling really unwell, or if sort of nauseated, this is great for that. Thanks, Rachel. So you can see where it is. It's right above our kneecap. Kind of almost right in the center. And we just want to give that a gentle press for about 10 seconds. And remember, when we're done, we want to do the other side as well. So let's just take a few more seconds there and then move to our other knee. Another really powerful stomach point that I find incredibly powerful and incredibly useful is, it's stomach 26, but it goes by the moniker leg 3 miles. And the story goes that there was a Chinese emperor who had his army marching day and night, and they finally had to stop from exhaustion. And when they massaged their leg 3 mile point, they could get right back up and march for 2 or 3 more days. So that's the story behind it. That's the mythology behind it. But this is incredibly potent. I have used this on myself. I've used this not only on clients, I've used this even in the office with coworkers who are feeling really, really nauseated. This works under the premise that we are pushing down what's literally called revolting chi. Not revolting as in disgusting, but revolting as in our chi is revolting. So it's moving upwards the wrong way because digestion moves chi downwards. So this actually short circuits that chi, what's called that chi revolt, and lets the food in our stomach and in our intestines settle and release and come out as waste the way it should, rather than vomiting. So start by just taking your open hand and putting it next to your kneecap. You just want to line up your palm with your kneecap, and then you want to just lay your palm over your kneecap so that you know you're in the right spot. This helps not have to guess. And you're going to lie your hand, sort of your hand in a sort of a starfish pattern just down on your leg while your kneecap is under your palm. And when you lift your hand up, with the exception of your ring finger, that's your spot. That is your stomach 36 spot right there. Now you can press this gently for 10 seconds as we've been doing. You can also stroke downward. This is one of those spots I find is incredibly effective if you stroke downward just a little bit on the spot on both legs at the same time. It's incredibly effective. So just take a moment to either press or just a little micro stroke down. And then practice that on the other knee. So you want to settle your kneecap under your palm and sort of starfish your hand out, laying down your hand, lifting up, leaving your ring finger, and that's your spot. That's your stomach 36 spot. So easy to find if you forget. You've got your own marker with your hand. And very, very effective. Next, we're going to take a look at some points that help alleviate stress. I don't even have to talk about stress, I don't think. I think that's self-explanatory pretty much for everybody. We're going to use, to focus on stress, we're going to mostly use our hands. And again, easily accessible. And we're going to use what's called the pericardium meridian, which is really, the pericardium is our heart protector. It keeps us safe. It keeps our self-love intact, and keeps us going in hard times. And pericardium is through the middle finger. It runs through the middle finger. So we're gonna focus on this line right down the middle of our arm, right out through our middle finger. So we're gonna start with pericardium 6. So again, I don't want you worrying so much about what it's called. We're gonna take 4 fingers and lay them right on our wrist. And pericardium 6 is just at the end of that 4-finger span. So we're just going to do 4 fingers, put our thumb at the end. And this is an excellent spot for calm when we just need to calm down. This is a wonderful spot. Helps us take a breath, helps our heart rate slow down. Nice calming spot. We can then move up to pericardium 7, which is actually, this is a major source point in Shiatsu, which is a big deal. Right where our wrist meets our hand. This is pericardium 7. And this is a point that's excellent for anxiety. Sometimes we just need a little bit of calm. Sometimes we're actively anxious and we're trying to short circuit that a little bit. Right here, right in the middle. Right where palm meets wrist. And we're going to move up. This is pericardium 8. This is the one my students were rubbing in, or my clients were rubbing in their class before their midterm. Right in the middle of your palm. This is also an excellent anxiety point. It's an anxiety point. So you can just from here, right to here. And some people, when they get anxious or upset, also, depending on their constitution, might get very hot and flustered as well, and feel their heart racing and feel their heat rising. If that's the case with you, then you can slide out to the tip of your finger. This is pericardium 9, and this actually releases heat. So for all you folks out there who are also going through perimenopause or menopause, this is an excellent spot for you as well. Good heat release. Another wonderful point that's, it's almost a sedation point for anxiety, is the heart. And that is on the wrist, but on the outside of the wrist, right here. So we have one spot in the middle and one spot, half an inch to the outside. And of course, you want to take the time to do that on the other side too. So we've got our four finger lengths. This is our calm spot, our source point, another anxiety point, our heat release, and then up a little bit, our sedation spot for anxiety. And here's the thing, if that's confusing and you're like, I'm not sure where I am, you know what is absolutely fantastic? you can just ring your wrist. There's 3 meridians on the top, there's 3 meridians on the bottom, and you won't hurt anything if you turn them all on. All you're doing is clearing out your energy, which is a wonderful feeling anyway. So if you're confused and you're like, I'm not sure where that point is, don't worry about it. Ring your wrist. Just rub your whole wrist really gently for about 10 seconds, and you'll get the same benefit, so you don't have to worry about finding the points. And that should feel nice. Sleep. Seems like people, especially in our culture, really, really struggle with sleep. So I've got 2 suggestions for sleep for you. You know, there's 1,000 things out there, but these are 2 Shiatsu suggestions. The first is a heart point again, which runs, you know, our heart point runs here because we were pressing here earlier. Remember we did this point, the sedation point for anxiety, this heart point right here. This is also an insomnia point. That's why it's called a sedation point. So if you're lying in bed and you can't sleep, you can go right from the little bump of your wrist right here. And of course, you want to do the other side. The other intervention for sleep issues is to do reflexive foot strokes on each foot. And I'll just explain that what that means without putting my feet in front of the camera. When you do a reflexive foot stroke, it means you start, you know, at the bottom of your foot. And this is actually nice if you don't have access to your feet or you can't quite reach them. This is so easy for a loved one or a caregiver or whomever to do for you, because it also doesn't take any special training. It just takes someone who's got, you know, the use of their hands and a little bit of strength in their hands. You just want to do, it's 83. The magic number is 83. 83 reflexive foot strokes. So a reflexive foot stroke is up and down. So say this is your foot, the bottom of your foot. 1, 2, 3, up to 83. And then if you're doing it or if you're getting someone else to do it, on the other foot as well. It feels amazing. It actually works. And again, our feet are one of those places we talked a little bit about in reflexology last week that we really tend to ignore unless we have, you know, some kind of pain or injury. But this turns a number of nerve endings on and off very, very, very quickly, which then speaks to our brain. I won't go too far into the neuroscience of it, but it's actually, it works. It actually feels great and it works. And that's it for our intervention. So we've got sinuses, stomach, stress, and sleep. And we'll share a handout with those points for you later when Rachel sends this out to everyone. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's so nice when we feel like, perhaps I'll just speak to my own experience because that's the only one I have. When I can have an awareness that I have tools to calm and center me. I can't change what's happening around me, but I can find a way to not let the narrative in my mind take over my life.
Yep.
Which is a challenge. So I'm really grateful for these tools, and I'm going to share them with my daughter later on today. So thank you so much. And we'll end with a meditation. So if you want to invite yourself to, again, maybe make a little bit of movement, just connect, see where your body wants to move or release any tension, head and neck. Just allow any movement that arises to show up. And then we can invite ourselves to find a way to remain supported. Allow yourself to really feel the support beneath you. And you're welcome again to close your eyes or softly focus your gaze. Noticing if there's any change in your body just from doing those points. I recognize that the calming points, I could feel a shift in my physiology in my body. I could feel some of that low-level anxiety that I've been carrying that can immediately turn into a higher level. I felt that subside a bit. So again, just inviting yourself to connect with your breath, your body, and this auspicious day that we're in, this day that we're honoring the planet, seeing ourselves and our bodies as part of nature. And when we do this, we can recognize each one of our unique expressions and the unique identities that we carry with us. And in many spiritual traditions, there's a guidance towards overcoming the body and denying the body. But here we recognize that being in our bodies and seeing our bodies in relationship to other beings, other species, is a blessing. One of the teachers and influences, Matthew Remsky, who has written a book called Threads of Yoga, he talks about the practice of yoga is recognizing the interconnection and interdependence of all of life. So for our meditation today, I'm going to invite us to vision, a vision that comes from the beautiful work of Joanna Macy, a vision of what we can be, what we can lean into. And so we can invite into this space, each of our own spaces in the collective space, a heightened awareness of the suffering and dangers besetting our world. And instead of allowing that to deny or numb out, we can invite ourselves to explore a great respect for our capacity to be with one another. We can invite ourselves to accept our pain for the world and reframe it as compassion. We can invite ourselves to really connect to a wider sense of our identity as a unique and integral part of the living body of Earth. We can invite into our space a growing appreciation for community, even in these times of physical distancing, with a greater sense of community with each other, with other species, and with our ancestors and future generations. We can invite ourselves to feel supported, especially by our well ancestors. And we can invite ourselves into accountability for the future generations. We can invite into our collective space a stronger motivation to join with others in service to life and show up with confidence in the power of our solidarity together. We can, even in this time of challenge, we can begin to awaken to a fresh sense of the wide diversity of our gifts and what we're offering right now. And so inviting gratitude for who we are as individuals, with all of our personal strengths, limitations, and even our wounds, and for our desire to be of use and of service. And we can invite ourselves to commit to goals that extend beyond our individual lifetime. We can liberate ourselves from dependence on immediate measurable results. And even now, in this space of great challenge and uncertainty, we can invite gladness in being alive now in these auspicious times. And we can invite a sense of the privilege that we have to take part in creating the world we want. So let's end this beautiful series of compassion. Whether you're on the call now or whether you're observing this in a different space and time, the invitation is to breathe with all of us right here. We'll breathe 3 full breath cycles in and out together. So on your next available inhale, inviting that breath in, expanding. Exhale, releasing. And the next breath arises from that full release, inhaling. And exhaling again, slowly letting go. And then that last breath in together, we invite ourselves to be expansive and meeting life as it is in this moment. And we exhale into letting go into life as it is in the flow of this moment. Just taking another minute to observe what's showing up for you. Engaging in these practices. Connecting to yourself and to that of all beings. And again, we honor these beautiful practices. So many parts of the world, every culture has given so many gifts of healing. And finding our way back to these beautiful practices can be part of us moving forward in these times that we're in. So take your time, again, noticing if your body wants to make any movement. Maybe rubbing your hands together. You want to cup your palms over your eyes or slowly blink them open if they've been closed. Again, it's been such an honor to serve and offer tools. And hopefully, if you are somebody that's viewing this at any time, please feel free to share this, especially if you are aware of people in your community, particularly healthcare workers right now, essential workers that really have an extra layer of challenge in their daily lives. That's was one of our intentions in creating this, to be able to get tools to people that they could be, that are portable, that they can use in any place and time. Sylvia, do you want to add anything to close us out?
Just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share and collaborate. It's been really lovely. Thanks.
Thank you.